Hey, how's it going? It's Sam Frost here, and in this short video, I just want to give my take on an upcoming Google update that was announced as of Thursday, 18th of August 2022. It's called Google's Helpful Content Update. A blog post, which I'll link in the video description, has been left on Google Search Central blog, and if you go on any of the big SEO blogs or forums or anything, you'll see content around this as well. This is a really interesting looking update, slightly ominous looking update as well, and I'll come to that in a minute. So basically, Google gives you the sort of usual intro spiel. They're launching this helpful content update that's part of a broader effort to ensure people see more original, helpful content written by people for people. Now, this is the piece that a lot of people are focusing on when it comes to discussing this update, that it's written by people for people. And so a lot of the initial discussion that I saw on Twitter and on forums and so on seems to be around thinking, hey, this is going to focus on AI content. So as you're probably aware, especially if you're in sort of niche site building or anything like that, but even just sort of general SEO for real world businesses, there's a lot of AI written or sort of assisted content that's being created and published online. And so a lot of people have kind of jumped on this initial message here saying it's the written by people for people bit that matters, and Google's going to clamp down on AI content, which would make sense. And in some respects, you hope that's going to be the case. But if you start reading through this explanation of what Google's looking for with this upcoming update, which is going to roll out next week, and I'm recording this on the 19th of August New Zealand time, which I think is the 18th of August in most other countries, still at the time of recording. Basically, what they're saying here is two high-level things. You want to focus on people-first content, and you want to avoid creating content for search engines first, which I guess is just the sort of logical extension or flip side. And so this piece is all relatively straightforward, right? Focus on people-first content. Google wants to reward visitors that have had a satisfying experience, blah, blah, blah. I'll reward websites that give visitors a useful and satisfying experience. These content advice guidelines have been around for a very long time, right? For as long as I've been doing SEO, basically. Everyone kind of knows them, right? We all know the principles, and, you know, it's always been a frustrating thing for anyone in this space because you can find a million examples of websites that don't do people-first content, that don't give good experience, that have no first-hand expertise or depth of knowledge, that leave you feeling like you've not learned anything. I think that's the key one for me as a Google user. That's one of the reasons, and I've spoken about it before in this channel, is that I do more and more sort of site searching on forums and Reddit, for example, or in YouTube if I'm looking for answers to a question or a product review or whatever, because the number of sites that exist that just have rubbish content that has absolutely zero value, doesn't add anything new, or it's just there to try and get rankings and get you clicking on an affiliate link or seeing ads. It's very frustrating as an end user. It's this piece here that interests me more, and I think is potentially more concerning for a lot of people who might be watching this video, particularly if you're in the niche site building space. You do affiliate marketing, you build websites to monetize via display ads, or even potentially if you create content on your website that is really there to rank for long tail keywords and then push people towards a product or a service you sell as a real business. So maybe you've looked at something like the they ask you answer method for your business, and you've taken a sort of simple approach, which is I'm just going to answer every question I can find in Google's people also ask that relate to the product or service I sell, and link it back to my main website and try and sell my product. There are some potentially ominous warning signs in here around this: avoid creating content for search engines first. So if we start looking here just at the first bullet point, right? Is the content you're creating primarily to attract people from search engines rather than made for humans? Well, think about that for a second. Just about any of us who do any form of SEO in any capacity, whether it's niche site building or for real world business or whatever, yeah, we do write content that's primarily to attract people from search engines rather than made for humans. I guess you could argue we want to reach humans who are searching on a search engine, but the content is still written, right, to try and get people coming from the search engine. This piece here around extensive automation, that is clearly talking about AI, so hopefully that we ping down on. Are you mainly summarizing what others have to say without adding much value? Well, this is a huge issue, even with your sort of, authority niche site model or anything like that. The number of people who are churning out websites that really exist to target keywords but add really no value or unique perspective or information to the industry or the niche. It's just basically here's a keyword, let's see what other people have written on it, let's rewrite what they've written and republish it and hope it ranks because our SEO is a bit better. There's going to be a lot of sites that could potentially be hit by this. Are you writing about things simply because they seem trending and not because you write about them otherwise for existing audience? I don't think that's going to be such an issue for the average sort of niche site creator or business. Does your content leave readers feeling like they need to search again to get better information from other sources? As an end user of Google, I have to do this all the time, and that's why I said I've often gone down the path of doing site searches on forums I trust or Reddit, for example. Are you writing to a particular word count because you've heard or read that Google has a preferred word count? A lot of people have been doing that for a long time. When I first sort of got into the SEO space, it was, you've got to do 500 words, and it's 1,000 words is what people seem to talk about now, 1,500, whatever. What this has led to, of course, is people writing a lot more words than need to be written in order to communicate a point, because typically Google, despite saying that they don't prefer a word count, has tended to demonstrate that they do. Did you decide to enter some niche topic area without any real expertise, but mainly because you thought you'd get search traffic? Well, this is like guilty as charged for sort of 90%, maybe 95% of people doing niche site marketing, affiliate marketing, whatever. How many people actually have genuine expertise or even a genuine passion? More often than not, it's, hey, I've identified some keywords I can rank for. And on that basis, I'm going to go and write some content. I found people also ask keywords. I'm going to write content. I'm going to outsource it, whatever. That is, potentially a big open goal or a big target painted on the back of people building content sites, because so many are not built from a position of authority or expertise. For real world businesses like the clients that I deal with, this is probably less of a concern, because at the end of the day, what is typically happening is a keyword might be found, and the business owner might not do all of the writing, but they'll frame up the content sort of framework, if that makes sense. They'll say, this is what needs to be communicated, this is the information that needs to come across, and maybe a junior within the team writes it up or something, but it's genuinely communicating expertise that's come from someone within the business. But this could be really nasty for anyone who is sort of building niche content sites where you've identified a commercial opportunity, but you have no real experience. Because fundamentally, looking through this, some of these things would be very easy for Google to pick up on, right? Is the content primarily to attract people from search engines rather than made for humans? Well, Google's got footprints they could look for there, excessively SEO optimized content, for example. Possibly if they can find out what sort of plugins you're running. If you're doing things like Surfer SEO, there might be concerns there. Extensive automation to produce content on many topics, there's probably footprints there. Summarizing what others have to say without adding much value, that might be harder for a computer to identify or an algorithm, but certainly a human reviewer is probably going to be able to get a pretty good gauge on that quite quickly. Certainly I can do it from my end quite well. This one here, deciding to go into some niche topic area without expertise, but mainly because you thought you'd get search traffic with a view to monetize it, should probably be added on the end. Well, Google could look for footprints in things like, Ezoic or Mediavine advertising, because how many Ezoic or Mediavine powered websites exist that, even if there is an element of, hey, we had an interest in this topic or this niche, or we've got a bit of expertise, almost invariably those sites are created purely to monetize via advertising. Right, and I guess really that's the fundamental point that this all boils down to is, would you create the content you create and do what you do work-wise if you couldn't rank it in Google to generate traffic and leads and revenue and sales off the back of it? Probably not. And the problem is, I guess, from a content creator's perspective or an SEO enthusiast perspective, or anyone who's sitting there a bit worried about this update, is that you might not be willing to do that. But there are people out there who will build websites and create blogs and so on who kind of don't really care about the traffic side of things. They just want to share their expertise. And if one person reads it, if nobody reads it, they're happy to do it. They do it from a more altruistic perspective. They do it from a genuine passion or hobby perspective. They do it because they want to share their knowledge. This has got the potential to be quite a big update, I think. Possibly one of the biggest updates in a long period of time. Now, maybe it might just sort of be a bit of a flash in the pan and turn out to be just AI sites that are pinged. But this will be really interesting to see play out. So look, at a high level, not a lot you can do at the moment. I wouldn't go massively changing your website or anything right now. With any luck, maybe Google will just wind up focusing on like the sort of low-hanging fruit of clearly AI content that adds literally zero value. But my suspicion is this is going to be quite a wide-reaching update that could have very sort of deep implications for anyone who is doing, I guess, they're really that common model now of saying, here's a niche or a topic, let's find long tail keywords people are searching, let's create content that, yeah, is just sort of nicely arranged words. It really adds no additional perspective or insight or value because you don't really have expertise, or you're just outsourcing to a writer. You're doing it not because you really care about the industry and adding more value. You're doing it purely because you want to rank in Google. And because you want to rank in Google to try and generate traffic from Google search to that then monetize via advertising or affiliate links. So there could be some big updates. I'd be interested to hear what your take is. It's very much just a kind of general discussion style video. It's too early days to know exactly what's going to go on, but I would love to hear your feedback, and I'll do more updates on this content down the track.